Hello students, in this video we will going to discuss a few topics of this chapter, elements of building construction. Let us go through the content enlistment. As you can see here, out of all these listed topics, today in this video we will going to discuss the topics of principle of planning of a building, basic requirement of building planning, and types of residential building. Okay, so these three topics we will going to discuss, and the above topics we had already discussed in the previous lecture. So let us go through the first topic of principle of planning. So as you can see here, we'll first discuss the introduction to building planning. Whenever the building planning is required, one has to think of the arrangement of rooms, the internal circulation. We provide accessibility of one room to another room, accessibility of one story to another story. So all these also one has to keep in mind the functional requirement of every rooms with respect to each other. All these factors one has to consider while planning a building. Okay, so let us go through the its definition. So building planning is simply a grouping and arrangement of different components of building in a systematic manner, such that it will going to form a homogeneous body according to the functional requirement. Okay, there are some factors based on which the planning of building is depending upon. So the very first is human habitation and their requirement, topography and shape of plot, climatic condition, location and neighborhood in terms of locality, component parts, size, and interrelationships of different components with each other. So this is what introduction to building planning is. So let us see some principles of planning in the next slides. So as you can see here, this all are said to be principles of planning. The very first is aspect, prospect, privacy, furniture requirement, roominess, grouping, circulation, sanitation, flexibility, elegance, and economy. All these principles of planning one has to consider while planning any of the building. Say for example, the location of drawing room, the location of a bedroom, in such a way that the privacy can be maintained, then the provision of dining room near to the kitchen area, then the location of storeroom. All these arrangement of these rooms should be depending upon certain rules and regulations, right? That is said to be principle of planning. So we will going to discuss in a detail about all these principles of planning in the upcoming slides. So let us start with the aspect. So as you can see here, aspect is simple arrangement of different rooms in a house according to its functional requirement or you can say according to different activities at the different hours of the day, by keeping in view the direction of sun and wind. See, the direction of sun and wind according to different activities during different hours of the day, the rooms should be arranged in the house is the main principle of aspect. Okay, say for example, if you talk about drawing room, right? So the direction of drawing room should be in such a way that it can easily receive the natural sunlight and ventilation and air circulation. So that particular the particular direction from which one can get the light and air is said to be aspect of that direction. Okay, so the rooms should be arranged in such a way that it can get enough sunlight, air, so which can provide the cheerful atmosphere, comfortable comfortness and hygiene condition within the house, right? So each room of residential building should have a particular aspect, because certain room needs morning sun, whereas other rooms may not require any morning sunlight. Say for example, storage room or storeroom, right? It doesn't require any natural sunlight, so one can make placement of that room in the opposite direction of the sunlight, so that the purpose of aspect as a principle of planning can be served, right? As you can see here, this is one of the table which I have taken from the building bylaws. This is a different types of room within the house, like bed, kitchen, dining, drawing, reading, and storeroom. So the direction of all these rooms are said to be having certain aspects, right? So that aspects are given, and why the aspects are given, the reason is mentioned over here. So if you talk about bed or bedroom, it should be kept towards southwest, towards west, or towards northwest. Why to keep the bedroom in this direction? Because to receive the plentiful breeze in the summer season. Similarly, if you talk about kitchen area, kitchen should be kept toward east or northeast. Toward east it should, and ready toward the northeast, right? Why? Because a kitchen can receive the morning sun, so it may which is said to be germicidal, and it purifies the air, and it should be well illuminated and the cool in the afternoon. That's why it should be kept toward east. Similarly, dining area should be kept near to the kitchen area, right? So towards southeast, towards south or southwest, it should be kept near to the kitchen. Then similarly, drawing room should be kept in this direction, so that it can receives the adequate natural sunlight and ventilation. Then reading room should be kept where the natural light can be get, and the place which considered to be quite cool. And similar to the storeroom, that there is no need of natural sunlight and ventilation and circulation for the storeroom, so it can be kept toward northwest, north, and northeast. So this all are said to be particular aspects for this particular type of room in a particular building. So as you can see here, so this is according to direction of sun. One can make arrangement of all the rooms within the house. So this is what aspect as a principle of planning is all about. As you can see here, this is drawing room, then kitchen and WC. All these different rooms are arranged according to the different aspects of particular room, according to the table which we discussed. Next principle of planning is prospect. Okay. See, prospect means simple how the building will look from the outside. Okay, how the building can be looked from the outside, as you can see in this picture. Okay, this is again the picture of a main drawing room, right? So as you can see, the provision of door in such a way, in this way, the provision of door in this way, or the provision of door this way, or you can see the provision of yeah, so as you can see here, how the building looks from outside is the main purpose of prospect, by provision of particular type of front, particular type of entrance, so that the prospect can be maintained in terms of aesthetic appearance. So this can be determined by provision of certain provision of garden near to the entrance area. So at the same time, it is naturally intended that the entrance should be given in such a way that it can conceal some undesirable views. Okay, some undesirable views can be eliminated. In with that purpose, the prospect can be planned. So as you can see here, if you see this picture, the entrance is provided like this, and the elevation is this. As you can see this one. So the prospect is kind of making building more beautiful or more aesthetic? As you can see here, it can also be achieved by a provision of different types of doors in the windows. Okay, maybe by providing a box windows, a cant windows, a bow windows, and contemporary windows. So by provision of different types of windows, one can achieve prospects as a principle. So by provision of all these types of different windows, one can achieve the aesthetic appearance of building. Next is privacy. See, if we talk about privacy, it is very important or very significant principle of planning because privacy is, related to the different functions of different rooms with respect to each other. Say, for example, provision of bedroom with respect to this drawing room, provision of study room with respect to drawing room, so that the peaceful atmosphere for the study can be maintained. Okay, right? So that's why the privacy is a very important principle of planning. Let us discuss in a detail. So this is very essential and important principle of planning, and the privacy should be achieved within an individual room as a part of whole building. Say for example, for bedroom, for study room, and for children bedroom. So privacy and also privacy as a whole building can be maintained from another building from the outside. Okay, so privacy can be of which types? Privacy can be site privacy, especially for bath and WC, sound privacy, especially for study room and confidential discussion, and both site and sound privacy. Okay. So as you can see, privacy can be further bifurcated or classified as external privacy and internal privacy. So if you talk about internal privacy is internal privacy is that privacy which is within the building or from one room to another room, right? External privacy is with respect to one building to one building to another building. Say for example, some people are having a tendency of observing and viewing from window of own house to the another house, right? So that is said to be to avoid that, to prevent that, external privacy should be maintained. Okay, so as I am like explaining, the internal privacy can be achieved by arrangement of rooms and also by the provision of door. The arrangement of different rooms with respect to each other according to the functional requirement. Also, the arrangement of doors, that is also very helpful in maintaining the privacy. Say for example, like provision of door on the longer wall side, provision of door on the shorter wall side, that we are going to discuss in the upcoming slides. Okay. So as you can see here, the privacy in the residential building should be maintained, especially for study room and the bedroom. So if you talk about internal privacy, so it is that privacy which is which can be maintained within the building, and within the building the privacy can be maintained by correct positioning of door, or door should be provided within a one room or at the entrance of one room in such a way that the minimum area is visible from the outside of the door. Okay, it should not be placed in the center of the any of the wall, because in that case the whole area of the room will be visible. So that's why the provision of door should be kept near or sorry, at the corner of the longer wall, so that from the outside the minimum area of any of the room can be visible. Similarly for opening of shutters. And then proper grouping of room means arrangement of or provision of different rooms with respect to each other. Say for example, if we talk about sorry, if we talk about drawing room, right? So drawing room should be kept near to the veranda or near to the entrance area, and the bedroom and the study room should be kept far away from the drawing room. So this is what and also kitchen should be kept near to the dining area. So this is what proper grouping of rooms with respect to the functional requirement of all the rooms with respect to each other. Okay, Then provision of buffer area between the bedroom and another room. Buffer area means provision of proper space or proper circulation between the rooms, right? That is said to be the buffer area, so that also the privacy can be maintained. This is also or privacy also can be maintained by the vertical segregation of different rooms. Say for example, drawing room, dining, kitchen, toilet should be provided at the ground floor. So drawing room, dining room and the kitchen should be constructed at the ground floor, and the bedroom and the toilet should be provided at the first floor. So it can so the privacy can also be achieved by the this vertical segregation of rooms. But I think this can be only possible for the smaller area of building. Second is external privacy. What I said, external privacy is is the privacy about the whole building with respect to another building, or with respect to the surrounding, or it may be with respect to road, or with respect to buildings. So how to achieve the privacy? Privacy can be achieved by constructing a compound wall with the height from 1.35 meter to 1.5 meter. The longer or the great so this much height of compound wall. By constructing this much height of compound wall, privacy, external privacy can be maintained. Then planting a tree along the compound wall also act as a sound and sight barrier, or sound and sight privacy. Also provision of screen walls, curtains and dwarf walls near the verandas are the way of maintaining the external privacy. So as you can see here, this is what compound wall. So that by provision of a longer compound wall, the side privacy from the outside can be easily maintained. So as you can see here, privacy of any building can be achieved by providing windows at the higher level with respect to adjoining road or the ground surface, so that privacy can be maintained. Also, by planting plants and trees, the privacy can be maintained around the building. Second is privacy inside a room can be achieved by provision of door at one of the longer side of the wall, so that the minimum portion of the room is visible, right? So this I will going to explain with this with respect to this this plan. As you can see, this is master suite, right? As you can see here, if this is the provision of door, right? This is the correct provision of door. What if the door is provided over here? If the door could have been provided over here, and if somebody is in the living area, so this particular area is visible from the provision of door from here. So this is said to be, if the door is provided over here, it could be incorrect position, but the provision of door at this particular point is the correct positioning of door in terms of privacy. So similar for this bedroom, as you can see here, provision of door here, again provision of door here is a good way of maintaining privacy within the building. As you can see here, the provision of you can see windows at the greater height from the ground level is also way of maintaining the privacy from the external views. So the provision of door concept will be better understood by this diagram, or by this figure. As you can see, this is one room, right? So if the door is provided at the corner of the longer wall, see, this is longer wall of the room, this is shorter wall of the room, okay? So if the door is provided here, right, so only this much area is visible from the door, okay, from or out from the outside of the door. Instead of the provision of door here, if the door is provided within the center of the longer wall, the whole room is visible. So this is incorrect position of door, and this is said to be correct positioning of door. Similar to this, if the door is provided at the corner of this longer wall, this much area is visible. So this is also a correct positioning of door to maintain privacy within the building. So the next principle of planning is grouping. Next principle of planning is grouping. Okay, so grouping is simply arrangement of different rooms with respect to a functional requirement of different rooms with each other, so that it can provide comfortness, privacy, convenience, and minimize circulation. Okay, so by keeping in mind the comfortness, privacy, convenience, and circulation, the arrangement of different rooms should be done with respect to the functional requirement of different rooms with respect to each other. So which points should be kept in mind while grouping, while making the arrangement of different rooms? The very first is veranda should be adjacent to the drawing room. Dining room should be near to the kitchen room. Bedroom, toilet or WC, and the dressing room should be grouped together. Bath and WC should be near to each other. Staircase should be provided in such a way that it can be easily accessible from all the rooms. Okay. Then WC should be away from the dining area to prevent the feeling of psychological feeling of being away from the insanitary places. Also, it's observed that the proper grouping of rooms or the proper arrangement of rooms according to the functional requirement leads to saving in the unnecessary movements, proper correlation of different rooms, easy control, and overall economy. Okay, so these factors should be kept in mind while planning different rooms with respect to each other. So this is what grouping as a principle of planning. Next principle of planning is roominess. Roominess is giving the dimension to a particular room. Okay, if you talk about a bedroom, so the dimension of the cross section. If you talk about kitchen, WC, or study room, or a store room, so how much dimension or how much size of room should be provided so that the roominess can be achieved. That is what luminous is as a principle of planning. So luminous is what feeling created after the room is well furnished with all the permanent furniture. So the luminous effect is about spacious, and the it should be well planned. Okay, so what is the luminous? Luminous is a simple effect which is derived from the space of the room, the length of room, the height of room, and the width of room. Okay, so the effect which is derived from the length, width, and height of the room is said to be luminous. Okay, so the room dimensions should be in such a way that the maximum use of room with the minimum possible dimensions. Okay, the room should have minimum possible dimensions which can provide the maximum use of any building. Also, for to create the proper effect of luminous, there is a length and width ratio given to us, that is 1.2 is to 1 to 1.5 is to 1. So this length to width ratio should be maintained to create the proper effect of luminous. So as you can see here, we were talking about the length and width ratio. So if you see this shape of this room is square. Generally, this square room is not preferred in the principle of building planning, because its length and width ratio is not falling under this category. And if you talk about this diagram, this length is quite longer as compared to the width. So again, this ratio of length and width is not maintained. So the length and width of any room should be given in such a way that it can create the effect of luminance. So as you can see here, luminance can be achieved by maximum usage of room with the minimum possible dimensions. Rectangular room gives better outlook as compared to the square room, right? So as I already said, the rectangular room is more preferred with respect to rectangular room by keeping in mind this length and width ratio. When the length and width ratio exceeds 2, it creates effect of tunnel. How it will going to create the effect of tunnel, we will going to see in the next slide. Similarly, the height of room also plays very important role in creating the effect of roominess. So the height of room should also be kept normal. Even the light colors also create the effect of more space, and light and dark color on different walls also reduce the effect of less width and the more length, right? And also utility of room can also be increased by provision of shelf and cupboards. So the roominess can be achieved by the length, height, width, colors of the wall, and light and dark combination of the wall, shape of the rooms, and the minimum possible dimensions of the room, which can use the maximum usage of the room. Okay, so as you can see here, this is what uh, rectangular room, right, with the this particular dimension. If you see this room, sorry, this is a square room with the 4 by 4 of possible dimensions. This is 4.6 by 3.5 of rectangular room. This is 5.3 and 5.3 by 3 meter of rectangular rooms. As you can see here, for this the length and width ratio won't be within the range given to us, so this is cancelled. So this is falling under the category, so this looks beautiful. And this is this particular dimension of room is having more length as compared to the width, so again it is not following, the length and width ratio is not following, so this is not desirable. Okay, right? As you can see here, the height of and the width of room, right? If you see, the length of room is quite longer as compared to the width of the room. So the the feeling of or the the feeling of roominess would be like tunnel effect. More length and less width will going to create the effect of tunnel. Okay, height of room should be normal. So the next principle of planning is elegance. Elegance is something which gives a good appearance or aesthetic appearance to any of the building just because of its elevation, and that will be only depending upon the plan of any building. Okay, so it is a simple architectural effect which can be produced by the elevation. So it is mainly depending upon the width and height of building, position of doors, windows, and which type of material is used, also the color scheme. So the aesthetic appearance of any building can be achieved by a provision of proper height and width, provision of different types of doors along with the different materials of the doors and windows, a choice of different materials like provision of different material for the verandas for making the building more aesthetic, then the usage of a proper combination of colors so that the elegance can be achieved. So the architectural effect can be produced by elevation, which will be depending upon the elevated site, architecture, neighborhood, adjoining building, and relative placement. So all these factors are responsible in creating the architectural effect. So as you can see here, these three types of building I have taken. So if you see this building, so the the shape of building is kept like this, so that the aesthetic can be or the beautification of building can be achieved. If we see this building, so the provision of this kind of sunshades or this kind of elevation can make a building more like more beautiful or more aesthetic. Provision of usage of different materials like glass and making the proper elevation. Over here one you can see the shape of this weather shed here, this here, the provision of this type of window, right? and making this kind of elevation can make a building more aesthetic. So the better elegance can be achieved by using superior material for facing, like paint, glass, timber, polished stone, like granite, marble, and mosaic. This, by using all this kind of material, uh, elegance can be achieved also by provision of projections like sunshades, balconies, and porches, and also by provision of corner windows. So, by provision of all this, beautification or the aesthetic appearance of any building can be achieved. So, as you can see here, this is also one of the good elevation for aesthetic point of view. So next principle of planning is circulation. See, circulation is simple. The space which is provided between the rooms, like say for example the lobbies and the verandas and the balconies and the stairs and the lifts, all are the circulation which or you can see the space provided between the rooms, which gives access from one room to another room, or one floor to another story, one floor to another floor, or one story to another story. So let us discuss about the circulation with the slides. So as you can see here, circulation is which mean link, which gives link between the different rooms and different floors of the building. So circulation can be between the rooms or between one floor to the another floor of the same building. So in the how the circular area should be provided, how much circulation area is provided. Circulation area should be straight, short, bright, and lighted or ventilated throughout the day and night, ventilated and free from obstructions. This is like if you want to go from drawing room to bedroom, or drawing room to study room, or drawing room to kitchen area. So the provision of enough circulation should be there, so that the proper convenience of habitat can be maintained. Also, circulation should be provided in such a way that the very important factor, that is privacy, should be maintained. It should not affect the privacy and it should not interfere the utility. Okay, so this way the circulation can be provided. So circulations are of two types. One is horizontal circulation, another is vertical circulation. So horizontal circulation is that circulation which is within the same floor. Say for example, verandas, passages, corridors, lobbies, and halls. So all these are said to be space provided for the circulation, or for the accessibility of one room to the another room within the same floor. Second is vertical circulation. So vertical circulation is a circulation from one floor to another floor. Say for example stairs and lifts. So there is also the circulation. There is also one criteria is given for space required for circulation and space required for the utilization. Like say for example, x meter square is the area of any building, right? So how much space is required for circulation and how much space is required for the utilization, proper utilization of different rooms. There's one ratio, and the ratio of circulation space and the utilization space is 1:4 for the economical planning of any building. And if we talk about vertical circulation, it should be kept 8 to 10 percentage of the floor area of any building, and that is considered to be adequate enough. So 8 to 10 percentage of the floor area of any building should be required for the vertical circulation. As you can see here, circulation, right? So over here, this is one room. Okay, so provision of door here and here for the circulation. So this is what one room, and to pass by one room to another room, this is a proper circulation, right? If we talk about provision of circulation here with respect to this room, so this space is wasted. The space is not utilized properly, so this is incorrect positioning of circulation. If you talk about this room, with the provision of door here, right? For the provision of circulation, this is also incorrect positioning of circulation. And if you talk about this way, this is also wastage. So the better case is this one. So the provision of doors with respect to circulation. See, it can be better understood by these two plan. This one plan of the building, this is also another plan of the building, and here the circulation is maintained by the provision of doors. As you can see here, let us consider this as a main drawing room. So entrance is given here, right? So again one more entrance is given. So from here, if one wants to pass from one room to another room, so one has to pass from here to here to here, and again from here to here to here. So see, as you can see here, one door here, one door here, one more door here. So provision of this much door in a one room, the privacy cannot be maintained. So this is also incorrect positioning of doors. This is not preferred, this is not desirable. And in opposite to the previous plan, as you can see, this the provision of door here, provision of again door here. So this is said to be straight and smooth, easy circulation. So this is the correct positioning of door in with respect to this circulation. This is whatever we had discussed in the previous slide, the same thing. Similar provision of door here, again door here. So this is said to be straight and simple circulation, which is correct and desirable. So if you see this incorrect positioning of door in terms of circulation, so this is not desirable. Next is flexibility. Flexibility means suppose one room which is planned and which is planned for one particular purpose, but if in future the requirement is getting changed, then the room can be used for another purpose. So that is said to be flexibility. So flexibility should be, based on the present and future requirement is depending upon the present and future requirements. Say for example, the present and future requirement of if any family changes, and as the family expands, the flexibility of room can be changed. So the planning of rooms should be in such a way that if one room is designed or planned for a specific purpose, it can be used for another purpose whenever desired or required. So it is flexibility is one, it is ease with which the room can be designated for a particular activity, and it can accommodate temporarily for another activity. Okay, say for example, drawing room can be used as a guest bedroom, right? Kitchen can be also used as additional dining room. So next is sanitation. Sanitation as a principle of planning. So sanitation is what provision and keeping various components of the house cheerful and free from disease. The factors which influence the sanitation is lighting, ventilation, cleanliness, and sanitary units. So it can be achieved by all these factors. The very first is lightning. Okay, so already we discussed in the very first principle of planning, there is aspect the provision of different rooms with respect to nature sunlight should be planned so that the nature sunlight can be achieved, right? So lightning is what about getting sunlight naturally or artificially. So that is, if you talk about window, the size of window, the provision of window. So the size of window also having some influence of the size of the room. Okay, so here the minimum window area is given 1/7 of the floor area for this kind of hot and humid climate, and the minimum window area for the dry climate is 1/10 of the floor area. So according to the dimension of the room, the size of window should be maintained so that the lighting can be achieved. Next is ventilation. So ventilation is what system of removing and supplying quality air by natural or mechanical means. Okay, so so that it can make any space more comfortable and hygiene. So there's the basic requirement of ventilation can be of the feeling of comfortness, reduction of humidity, removal of heat from the space, proper supply of good quality of air and oxygen, and reduction of dust. So how this ventilation can be achieved? The ventilation can be achieved by natural or mechanical means. By natural means means provision of good amount of good number of windows with the proper dimensions, and the provision of ventilators which can accommodate the renewal of fresh air within the area. So the also the orientation of building and the location of window also helps in maintaining proper ventilation. So already I told you the natural ventilation, artificial ventilation. Natural ventilation can be achieved by windows and ventilators. Artificial ventilators can be achieved by provision of exhaust system. Next is cleanliness under the sanitation. Cleanliness, dust. So it should be dust proof, so that the health it should be dust proof. Otherwise, it may create the some health implications. It may make the surface dull, and the floor should be kept smooth, impervious, non-absorbing, and uniformly sloping, so that cleanliness can be maintained. Next is dampness or wetness. This can be mainly achieved in the kitchen area, in the WC and bathroom. So the root because it is dampness is the root cause of infections and the bacterial and germs still within the building. So the walls and floor should be kept damp proof. Kitchen, bath and WC should be drained off quickly, so that the cleanliness can be achieved. Next is sanitary units. Generally, sanitary units includes provision of WC, water closet, bathroom, urinals, and toilets. So WC and bathroom should be provided with dados, so that it can be cleaned regularly. Dados are simple, small tiles, small thickness of tiles, which is constructed within the WC and bathroom, so that the bath area can be cleaned easily. So that is said to be dados. Next is furniture requirement. See, the building should be planned according to by keeping in mind the furniture requirement, because like say for example, whatever dimensions of any of the like drawing room I have given. Okay, so after making the permanent furniture, how much, after making all this permanent furniture, how much space or for utilization is available, how much space for circulation is available, that it should be also keeping in mind while making a planning of furniture. Okay, so the planner should know how much space will be needed by the furniture for the proper functioning of a particular room. Say for example, room sizes will be depending upon the how much permanent furniture will be required, what could be dimensions, its arrangement, and what would be the clearance space available for the circulation. So after fixing the permanent furniture, how much utilization space, how much clearance circulation is available according to the dimensions of room can be decided. The very last is economy. Economy may not be considered as one of the factor of planning, but yes, any of the building must be economical. So the buildings which have minimum floor area with the maximum utility, it can only be achieved by some factors. One is it can be some factors, but that factor should not be at the cost of strength. Okay, so to make any building economical with the minimum floor area and the maximum utility, but it cannot be achieved by the cost of strength, it can achieved by proper planning and utilization of space which is provided with the possible minimum dimensions. That is, economy can be achieved by making simple elevation of building, by provision of small balconies in the lobbies, reducing the floor height, reducing the number of steps, then standardization of different size of components and materials. By using a normal standardized material, economy of any building can be achieved. So this is what principles of planning. So the next topic is basic requirement of building planning. Which are the basic requirements are there to plan any building? So the basic requirements are, the very first is selection of suitable site. Proper and suitable site should be selected. Building bylaws. One has to follow the building bylaws set by the municipal corporation or the state corporations. Then orientation of building according to the direction of sun and wind. The requirements of building. Then functional requirement of residential building. So one has to consider all these basic requirements of building planning. So we will going to discuss in a detail all these basic requirements. So the very first is selection of suitable site. So while selecting any site for building construction or building planning, one has to check the site should be fairly level ground. It should be located on a developed or fast developing locality. See, locality of any site is very important while selecting a site, because it will ultimately affecting the number of person residing, the number of services available, and just because of that one has to consider the locality as a developed or fast developing. Then site should have a good landscape to promote healthy and peaceful living. That site should be on the elevated land so that the easy surface drainage can be promoted. That site should be well connected by the roads, bypasses, and the service lanes, so that it can, it would be more convenient for the residents or users. There should be availability of different services like water, electricity, drainage, sewage lines, telephone lines. All these facilities must be available at the site. So the site should be selected based on that. Also, the selected site should be near to the facilities like schools, hospitals, shopping centers, post office, and easy and good mode of transportation is available. So it should be near to all these basic facilities. Site should be away from quarries, industries, factories, and the noisy locations. So all these factors must consider while selecting a suitable site for the planning of building or for the construction of any building. Next requirement is building bylaws. Building bylaws are very important rules and regulation which is set by the some government authorities for the smooth functioning of planning. So what is building bylaws? Building bylaws are defined as a standard and specifications designed for the construction of any building. So before planning of any building, one must have the knowledge of the building bylaws, what the building bylaws is all about. So building bylaws can be set by the state government, municipal corporations, municipal committees, and it can be set by keeping in mind the recommendation of National Building Code IS 1253-1967. So all these authorities will going to set the building bylaws by keeping in mind the clauses given in the National Building Codes. Also, the planning of proposed building should be prepared as per the building bylaws, and that prepared proposed plan of any building will be checked and approved by the local authority. And after getting checked and approved by the local authority, one can only go for the construction of a proposed structure or proposed building. As you can see, the building bylaws may vary from one state to another state, one locality to another locality, one municipal corporation to another municipal corporations, depending upon the which type of a city is. So it should be in such a way that so that it can avoid the random development and provide health, comfortness, and society to the users. So there's one criteria of saying the built-up criteria. Suppose this is a plot area for any of the building, right? So how much area the building can be constructed? The building can only be constructed within the built-up area, which is subtracting the area due to open space from the plot area. So this is the total plot area available minus the area or the space required for the open spaces. So whatever remaining space available, within that much space, within that much area only, any of the building can be constructed. And this concept can be better understood by the next slide. As you can see here, this is whole area of any building, right? As you can see here, this is front margin, either side of margin, in the back margin, as you can see here, and this area is showing the built up area. So from the total area, the building can be planned or the building can be constructed within this built up area after subtracting the area for the open spaces, that is said to be margins. So how much front margin, how much front margin should be provided for different types of building, that is mentioned over here. Like for detached building in the sense bungalows, so about 12 meter of front margin should be provided. For semi detached building or twin bungalows, it should be between 8 and 12 meters. For row houses, it should be between 4.5 to 8 meters. So this is what open space should be provided as per the building bylaws. Next topic is orientation of building towards north, west, south or east. So it should be based on the direction of sun. Let us discuss. Orientation means giving a proper direction to any of the building to get the natural resources such as air, sunlight, rain to a greater extent. Okay, direct sunlight, wind and rainfall and its intensity, the type of surrounding should be taken into account while deciding the orientation of any building. So as you can see here, this is the direction of sun, this is the orientation of building. So the longer wall should be kept toward the north and south, and the shorter walls, this shorter wall should be kept toward the east and west, so that the natural sunlight can be maintained. Okay, this is the longer wall toward the south, as toward the west and the south. This is the shorter wall towards the east and west. So the same orientation is explained over here. So let us say if the building is surrounded with the grass and trees and vegetations, so it may helps in reducing the temperature of within the building from the outside atmosphere in the summer season, and the building should be oriented in the southwest direction to catch a cool breeze in the hot summer seasons. Next is requirement of building. Whatever building is planned or constructed, it should be durable and stable to take the structural load. The building should be strong enough to withstand the impact of atmosphere, environment and earthquake. So the building should be earthquake resistant. It should provide maximum living and working comfortness. The building should be properly ventilated and free from the dampness. The proper grouping of rooms should be planned to ensure the circulation and to optimize the maximum utilization of space. The number of doors and windows should be sufficient and located in the proper way so that it can get enough light and air, light and ventilation, and the building should be safe from fire hazards. Okay. So this is principle of planning. The last one is the functional requirement of residential building. See, simply the residential building can be divided into three major area. One is living area, sleeping area, and service area. Living area is for general use, like living room, drawing room. Okay, so it should be planned near to the entrance, near to the veranda. Sleeping area should be provided for sleeping and relaxing purpose. It includes master bedroom, children bedroom. Okay, so it should be located to ensure the privacy. Last one is service area, which includes kitchen, dining room, bathroom, and WC. So all these factors should be kept in mind while planning a residential building.